Season 2 of One of Us is Lying has just dropped on Peacock. We have two of the stars, Marianly and Cooper, here to chat all about it. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Rudy.
So, first of all, season just dropped it yesterday. Have you had fans already starting to binge everything, or tell me a little bit about the fan reaction so far?
It's just, yeah, it's kind of crazy how I think before I even woke up here in LA, people had binged it already because I think it dropped at 6 a.m. Eastern time. So they're quick. I don't know how they do it, but it's so flattering.
Yeah, I've had a few responses as well where people have like binged all 8 episodes already, and they're just like, diehard fans of the show, which is so great, so beautiful too. It feels amazing to have to have fans that are so dedicated to the show and love what we're doing, and we put a lot of hard work into it, and it's amazing that we're getting this sort of response. We're so grateful for it too.
And then one of the greatest things that I like about season number two is that the first one was based off the book, so people who are fans of the book could follow along with their favorite plot lines. But this is a brand new territory, a new direction they're taking. It's not off the second book, so fans have no idea what to expect.
Yeah, that's what's exciting about season two, I think, is that you really do have no idea. And I think Karen McManus created such a great story for season one. And, there was the challenge for Erica, our showrunner, and like all the writers on board that did such a great job for season two. I think that was probably like a challenge to take such a beloved story and like do it justice as well. And they did very much so.
Let's talk a little bit about Simon Says. Obviously, as a gamer for children, it's such a fun thing to do, to start to learn about things and to have fun with your classmates. But as teenagers and getting those text messages, not such a fun thing to have to go through.
No, especially when there's been a couple murders along the way. It just takes a whole other level.
I think
which was the challenge, to kind of ground this, crazy scenario into reality. But when you have really great directors and such an available and open to chat showrunner like Erica was, it's kind of easy to tap into those things because just everything allows you to kind of go for it.
Jake disappeared. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to see kind of going into season number two. Not teasing too much, but at least kind of where we're starting off.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like season two brings a whole lot more like suspense and thrill, and they up the stakes for season two. I think there's a lot more, I guess, excitement, and I think the Nateman fans are going to be pretty stoked about what happens between them two. There's just a beautiful journey of these characters embarking on this like crazy experience, this murder investigation, and really see them having to like bond together through camaraderie and friendship. And I think that's such a great value to remember and to always keep sort of dear to your heart. Yeah.
And I think also they're so, they're kind of in this intense just moment where they're having to deal with yet another dead person, but this time they are a part of that, and they've just committed a crime at the end of season one, beginning season two. So I think it just makes them have to face or kind of break out of the archetype, is what I'm trying to say, that we see them as in season one. So we really get to see more depth and just more intensity, but also in the little moments where they can have fun. Actually, they really go for it because they're like, okay, this may be the last time where I get to be a normal teenager before I go to jail, or who knows what else, awaits them.
One of the big themes was obviously trust going into, in season one, and we're going to see that again in season two. Talk a little bit about that theme and how we are seeing it maybe shift or evolve from, where we saw the characters in the beginning to where we're going to see them at the beginning of season two.
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think in season one, there was like a lot less trust, right? Like they all thought that they were all suspecting one another. But I think in season two, they really have to work together now because of certain circumstances. I don't want to sort of reveal too much, but I think trust is a huge theme of season two, and these characters really bond together through that. And also, I think Bronwyn and Nate really break through. They break through a lot of barriers around trusting one another and knowing that they're going to stick by one another through sort of like thick and thin. And I think that's a really cool journey to see like these two sort of their relationship flourish amongst all this like adversity.
I do
Yeah,
want to
and
ask
I
what
think
you were
the
gonna say.
season, oh, I'm sorry. I just gonna add that the season takes you on a journey of with that trust because it's challenged, because there's this element, like this outside element that, as Simon says, who has so much information about everyone and everything all at once. And so you're like, well, it has to be someone close to you. Who could it be? And then that's a challenge that they have to overcome. It's like, okay, no, it's not any one of us. We're still on the same page about everything. We're still on the same team. But there is that little bit of mistrust that I think, they have to navigate.
As far as the scripts, I'm going to ask a little bit about filming. Do you know only your parts in the scenes that you're in together, or do you know everything that's going on as far as, all the layers and everything kind of happening on the show?
I think we don't really find out until like maybe a few weeks before shooting that certain episode, because like we shot in blocks, so there was 4 blocks. There was like the first block was 1 and 2, the second block 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. And it wasn't until maybe a couple of weeks prior to actually filming those episodes that we got the scripts, which is kind of cool. I mean, I kind of like that aspect that like you're kind of surprised when you get the scripts. It still feels like fresh as opposed to getting it at the beginning. But a lot of we didn't really know the ending and a lot of like the crew would even get the scripts before us. And they were like, oh my God, episode 8 is like so amazing. We were like, surely you can tell us a little bit about it. They're like, no, we can't reveal like any secrets. So I kind of like that aspect. I don't know, Ma.
I think it's a little bit nerve-wracking to not know the journey sometimes, but I do think for certain scenes or certain episodes, it serves you as the actor to be surprised or to have had like, because we do get the episodes, we just sometimes don't get them too ahead of time, which kind of allows you to have a very organic reaction to what you're about to play, which sometimes just like serves the scene and is for the better.
Because you're not playing for the end result, you're playing for that exact moment, which makes 100% sense.
Yeah.
It was like sometimes it was like script changes like on the day of shooting as well. They'd like change the lines or whatnot, which always kept it fun and exciting.
As far as some of the other topics, obviously, we're trying to figure out, what is happening here with the, with the murders and who's following everybody. But as far as like standing up to parents and coming out and toxic relationships, these are all things that teens go through. And maybe some of the messages you get, from them on social media, as far as like, thank you for showing this, or I'm going through something similar, or this is just a show that I can relate to. Do either of you get a lot of those messages?
Yeah. And I think one of my favorite things about this show is that there truly is a character that like most people can relate to. You have very different archetypes, but then you see their humanity in navigating high school, which is a very tricky time. And how they kind of rely on one another. And it's so beautiful to see which characters kind of develop a friendship that you might have not been expecting. And I think that's very relatable, but also like, oh my God, sure. Like encouraging to hopefully teenagers going through high school now that like, yeah, you can go and talk to this person that you might not think you have so much in common with. And then when you actually get to have a conversation, you do have so much in common. And it's just better to kind of have a pack of people to like do life with, especially I think high school.
Yeah, it's very meaningful, I think, to someone if they can relate to a certain person's like struggle. If you feel sort of alone in this world, and I've gotten messages as well, not super frequently, but like definitely got messages where people like relate to Nate and like his struggle, and I'm sure the other characters as well on the show. So I think the fact that we can put messages out there like that and make people feel less alone and more included, and an archetype or a character that they can relate to and find and seek kind of can kind of confide in. I mean, that's beautiful.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for your time today. Season 2 of One of Us is lying on Peacock right now. Go ahead and binge it. It's the weekend. Go ahead and get all those episodes in before you hear any spoilers.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Lee.
Thank you.